Good morning, everybody. Let's see what the world has for us today. Hello, motorcycle. Hello. Oh yeah, I forgot. I have to fix Sarah's truck today. Show you what's wrong with it. Okay guys, so we have here a 1985 Chevy S-10. It's got the V6 motor in it, 2.8 liters. It was a good truck for its time, but it is getting very old. We first noticed this problem when the rear brakes would absolutely just lock up every time we even tapped the brake pedal, even in the slightest. And a quick search online kind of showed that there are many reasons for this to happen, but we bled the brakes and we rebuilt the brake drums on the rear end, took everything apart, put it all back together again. We replaced the cylinders inside, and we still have the problem. We are noticing, however, that if we pump the brakes a few times whenever we're at a dead stop, just pump the brakes and build up pressure, for some reason, in the long run, for the duration of our trip, that would solve the problem. But that's a temporary solution. That's like putting duct tape on something or zip ties, you know, rednecking it. What we want now is a permanent fix. So I got under the hood and found out later on that, as it turns out, there is some leaking going on in the brake proportioning valve. That's a very important part. If there is a leak, then we could run out of fluid, and if this doesn't solve the problem, then we have at least fixed some other problem. So let's get started. All right, guys, I ordered the part on eBay. It should be arriving shortly. There is a union strike going on in UPS right now. Hopefully that gets ordered out. But this item should be coming via FedEx, so it should be here anytime now. Holy shit, there it is. Thank you. Wow, that was fast. And there it is. An awful lot of packaging for such a small part. But that right there is the brake proportioning valve. Let's go see what it looks like inside the truck. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to remove this wire here. It's got a little plastic bit in the middle that kind of separates them, but it's holding on to both the white wire top as well as the bottom plastic bit that actually goes into the valve proportioning valve. So either way, you got to kind of squeeze one way or the other to do it. So squeeze and wiggle, and it should come right off either the wire or the proportioning valve there. If you squeeze it one way, then it'll do one thing. If you squeeze it the other way, it'll come off the other thing. We'll just tuck that away right there. Alright, so at this point we're going to remove these brake lines from the proportioning valve. There should be 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the tool I'm using is a 9/16 wrench. I should be using a wrench. They have wrenches specifically designed for this kind of fitting. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those, so this is not the right tool for the job. If you have the right tool, I strongly suggest you use that one. But worst come to worst, I will use what I got, and hopefully I won't break anything. There we go. That worked. If you guys don't know this trick, you gotta set up the wrenches kind of like this, and that gives you the extra leverage to turn something that's really tight. So that seemed to work pretty well. Not something I would recommend to anyone operating in a professional shop. Alright guys, so here's the situation. I need the right tool for this job. As I mentioned earlier, this isn't quite the right kind of tool for it. I need one of these, but with the little notch in the end here. So, I could either put this back together so I can run down to the store and buy the right wrench, or I can find one of the many 9/16 inch wrenches that I have and attack it with a Dremel tool. And there we are. See the little box end wrench, but it's got that notch cut out in it, so I can slide it over the brake lines. So now we're gonna go over these brake lines and we're gonna start turning on it, and hopefully it comes loose this time. Well, maybe I should have gone down and bought one. Okay, again, so this is 9/16 inch, and we're just gonna slide it on like this, and it should come. Let's see, I already loosened this one, right? Yep, so that's loose. And so here's my new plan. I'm going to take off this side, and then I'm going to get a regular boxed end wrench around the little tube like a kid's toy, and that should get a better grip on it, I hope. See, that came off. I should get a way to clog it and plug it before I get any farther, because as soon as I undo this, it's going to start pouring out brake fluid. So remember folks, hearing protection is always very important in any other form of PPE that's necessary for the job. Alright guys, so we got a 1/2 inch wrench. We're going to go ahead and loosen these up. There we go, it's out. I just gotta figure this out. I'll probably just buy a new tube here, but that's the old one. And there's the shiny new one. Let's go ahead and put this in. Now, of course, these little yellow corks that you're seeing all around here are protecting the whole thing from getting debris inside. Debris could seriously cause issues with one of these valves, or any enclosed system for that matter. So we take those off very last. Now, of course, speaking of enclosed systems like this, it's not meant to be opened up. So once we have opened it and introduced air into the system, we have to bleed the brakes and make sure all the bubbles have gotten out, which is not a difficult process. I'll show you how that's done. Okay, so we did manage to get this tube off of the old one. That was a real nightmare though. So you saw that I got it out with the proportioning valve. I took the proportioning valve and I put it in a vise in the shop, and I applied some penetrant fluid, and then I applied a lot of heat and a lot of torque on the fitting right here. And it was a real nightmare. Vice grips and the whole works. Everything short of a hammer, but I did get it out, obviously, so I don't have to and that's a good thing too, because apparently, shopping around for a new one, I found that these effectively have to be made. You cannot just buy this part, apparently. Nobody has it. So I doubled down on trying to get it out. And I do recommend, if you guys get into the same situation as I did where you have to use heat to get these out, make sure you take this plastic bit out of the proportioning valve first. And that's just done with a socket. You just stick the socket on here, make sure it's the right size. I think it was a 1/2 inch or something. Actually, let me look. Let's see, was it this one? Yeah, it was this one. So this is just a 5/8 inch deep socket. So that just fits right on there, and then you turn it out and the whole plastic bit comes right out. So that's what I use there to get that out. And then I applied heat and with a bottle torch, heated it up and used vice grips, clamped down really tight on it, and just gave her hell. So that's done, and I got it all installed into here. Everything seems to be fine with the exception of this guy. And you notice that I've got a bolt sticking out here, and the old one didn't have that. Well, that's because the old one also did not have a hole in this corner. There we are. As you can see, there on this corner there is no hole, and this one does have a hole there for whatever reason. And I guess looking online, the idea is that this hole would be for front brakes, and this hole down here would be, or I'm sorry, this one would be for your left front brakes, and this would be for your right front brakes. So 2 lines, one going to each side of the vehicle, and then for some reason only 1 line going rear. So that sounds like kind of a strange setup, and but I'm sure there's a reason for it. Probably has something to do with the fact that you should always have more braking pressure on your front brakes than you should on your rear. Anyways, with this particular truck, there is only 1 line going to the front brakes. There's a Y further down the line somewhere that it splits off at. So, but coming up to the proportioning valve, there's only 1 line. So I had to do something with this. I found the right size bolt with the right thread type, And now it's important that I did not wrench it all the way down. Instead, I got a nut on there and tightened that down. It's just a little stop nut, and that'll keep it from threading its way out. I also put in Loctite, so everything should be permanent and snug. So now we're going to finish this up. I'm going to tighten these mounting bolts down real quick, and then we'll apply the wire back onto here, and it'll be ready for a test drive. Alright guys, so we got everything done here. We cleaned everything off before we finished the next step. Got everything tightened down, and the whole point there is to make sure that it's not leaking. And considering all throughout the process, the tubes were just spilling brake fluid everywhere. We had to clean everything off to make sure that there's no new leaks. Once we did that, I got an assistant and we bled the brakes. I'm sorry I couldn't put that on a video. We're gonna have to make that for another video. But in any case, we did bleed the brakes. I was the one crawling around on all the ground, and I had to change my shirt, obviously, because it's pretty filthy down there. And then, of course, once I bled the brakes, I double-checked the proportioning valve again to look for any new leaks. That is, after all, the whole reason we had to replace the proportioning valve, because the old one was leaking. That being said, though, the great news is that there are no leaks, and I'm pretty happy with what I see. All we have left to do is give it a test drive, and hopefully everything worked out well. Hey, thanks for joining me on this one. If you like the video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button so that the YouTube algorithm knows that people like what I'm making. I try to make a video from time to time, just on everything that I'm doing around the house, what I'm doing at work, let you guys in on all of the stuff that I often find myself having to fix or repair. So check back often, click the subscribe button if you really want to see more, and follow my channel. Click the bell too if you want to see the newest video as soon as it comes out. I'll see you next time.